That was just a little practice there.
We had a little practice run. All
Yeah,
right.
let's
Thanks everyone for
wait a
joining
second.
us. Yes.
Wait, Grace.
Yep.
Just wait to make sure that we are streaming because I still don't. Okay, now it's coming up. Yeah, just that was just a little practice there.
We had a little
Okay.
practice run.
Now we're live. Okay, great.
Okay.
Okay,
All
cool.
right. Well, thank you all for joining us live today as we come together to celebrate the life of Jay Daniel. Jay was a calm and steady presence in the face of chaos, a gifted executive producer whose talent, professionalism, and leadership helped bring some of television's most beloved shows to life. Moonlighting fans know him as one of the key mechanics behind the magic of the series, helping to guide a groundbreaking show that continues to be loved over 40 years later. Beyond moonlighting, Jay's remarkable career included work on Roseanne, Sybil, Clean and Sober, where he collaborated with Moonlighting creator Glenn Gordon Caron. His contributions to television and film touched countless people both on and off the screen. Those who worked with Jay speak of his kindness, his wisdom, and his ability to keep everything moving forward, no matter the challenge. His legacy lives on through the work he helped create, and the lives he touched along the way. Jay Daniel will be deeply missed, but never forgotten. Thank you for joining us today as we remember and celebrate his life.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for
Hi,
joining
everyone.
us. We've got Ron Osborne here with us, as you can see, who was kind enough to join us and, wants to help us celebrate Jay's life. Really, it's a celebration of life because he had a great life, as from what we hear, talented man, left a huge body of work that will live on long into the future and touched all of us in many ways. So, welcome, Ron. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, that's I'm using my wife's computer today, so that's why I'm officially Christina Osborne.
All right, we'll refer to you as Christina.
Yes. Welcome, Christina, as well. So, yeah, Ron, wing it. Tell us what you want to.
I don't know how many of you know exactly what a producer does, and there are various kinds of producers. Glenn was an executive producer. We were producers and then later executive producers. Jay was always a producer. So the executive producer is the showrunner and always an executive producer. And that person will hire the producer that runs the production. And that's what Jay did. Jay was made sure the lights were on and off, that we had everything we needed and when we needed it. And what is especially amazing about Jay, and yes, he was calm, he was steady. I never saw him lose his cool. I never heard him say a cuss word. And
Wow.
If I were him, I would have been beating my head against the damn wall because we never had a script ready, and except one or two at the beginning of each season, I was there. I think the first season we might have had 2 scripts ready. I think Rogers was next, and but otherwise we kind of got used to the madness. We got used to turning out scripts week after week just before shooting time. Sometimes, as with Shakespeare, as with what was the one? What was the one with oh God, the father from Wonder Years? He was a detective in it.
Dan Lauria.
Yes. That episode, I remember we didn't even know how it was going to end when we started filming it.
Portrait of Maddie.
And we had to get Dan back because we needed him for the ending. And luckily he was available. So these are the kinds of challenges. We're sitting the writers would show up every day, 9:30, 10-ish. We usually just bullshit till noon. Then we get serious. Then we start writing. And then we, assign and, we're going to do this, go do that. Poor Jay's down the hall. He doesn't know what's coming out. One time he came to us and said, hey, we have a hospital. We can use a hospital. Can you work something in there? And we did. I forget which episode. I don't think
Oh,
it was.
probably Bride at Tupperman or something.
Yes, that could have been.
Mm.
It could have been. Um,
Or Witness. There's a
but
there's a queue with
anyway,
a hospital.
yeah. Well, but Jay was. I don't know how the guy slept.
Yeah,
I don't know when he slept.
true. That's true.
He always was the last person. Well, the last person of production to know what was going on, and yet
Poor Jay.
I mean, Glenn has said there probably wouldn't be Moonlighting without him.
Yeah.
And that is true because the network might have at a certain point, well, we would have made even fewer episodes than we did. But he was always, and I didn't realize this, when Jeff and I would go off and do our own pilots and some series, and we would hire our production producer, they tend to say no. They tend to say, to keep us within a budget, to keep us on time. And the thing about Jay is he was creative. He could come up with ways to make something work. I remember going into his office and asking if we could trash the BMW. The episode where he trashes it in the garage and drives it in back and forth and stuff like that. What episode was that? Was that the fourth?
Shiksa? Was that Shiksa?
I think it was Come Back Little Shiksa.
Come Back Little Shiksa.
Yeah, I could. Yes, that sounds right. And he kind of sits there and molds, and he goes, "Yeah, we can get a fiberglass body and put it on a Toyota. Yeah, we can do it." And so, great, we get to trash the BMW. But he was, I remember when we were discussing the Shakespeare episode in his office, and we've got this going on over there. We're getting a second unit. Jay actually filmed some of that, some of the second unit.
Okay.
On that episode.
Yeah.
But I just don't know what else to say. He he went on to Sybil, and he called us and asked if we wanted to exec produce it, and we took a fair amount of time, about 3 seconds, and said no. Because we worked, we would have been friendly faces there, but we weren't ready to. Well, first of all, we'd never run a half hour live. We never run a half hour
sitcom
comedy
series,
sitcom kind of thing.
Yeah. Except for Duckman on USA in the 90s, an animated series. And there was a very steep learning curve in that we had to adapt to. So going to half-hour production, we've been on productions. We've been on Mork and Mindy and Night Court and things like that. We knew how they ran, but we had never run one. Had we said yes, I would have felt, I would have never even given that a second thought. Because if Jay was there, he would tell us, here's what you're going to do and have this ready by then and meet this time and this day. He would have been the perfect mentor for us in that situation. So, the last time I saw him, last time Jeff and I, Jeff apologizes for not being able to attend here today, was December 3rd. And I was in LA and we had a get together, a dinner. And Roger and Deborah, Jeff, me, Melissa, Glenn, and Jay. I think that was all. And he was quiet. He seemed fine. He was there. He was in a wheelchair. But but when he seems, I didn't know he was as ill as did not appear to be. So I was very, I just happened to find this out logging into Facebook the other day. Saw your first thing I saw was this, and I was stunned. I was just stunned. So I hope Vicky sees this too. I mean, maybe she will, if not now, the recording. But Jay was a godsend. So I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, that's great. That's beautiful. Thanks for sharing all those memories of Jay. He just seemed like someone who looked at the glass half full. How can we make this work? How can we move things forward? How can we unite everybody and keep the production rolling?
Well, I'm
And
not that way in life, let alone on a show. So
right,
half empty.
yes.
He had a
I don't know how he,
great attitude, and that's what, we all need for things instead of looking at the
yeah,
dark.
we could learn from that. Yeah.
Ron,
And
sorry, Ron's just sorry, Ron. Somebody's just mentioned. Hi, Grace and Shauna. My name is Robert Karpman. I was an assistant location manager on Moonlighting for 5 years. Hi, Ron. It is.
Hello.
Oh, that's gone. It's lovely to see you. It's good to see you on the live broadcast. Do you
Thank
remember
you.
him?
No, that part of the we weren't down on set that often, and he would be part of pre-production, and finding locations. And I will bet you he could tell stories.
Oh, we
Uh,
need him then.
Now,
oh, I
because
know.
he didn't know half the we were gonna film half the shows half the time. So he might be. You might want to pick his brain once in a while about that.
Yeah, Robert, come on the podcast and tell us. We're always wondering that, because scripts came down so late. So yes, how did you find locations last minute, to set all of that up in time and all of that? And it's interesting what you're saying, Ron, about how sometimes a location was available and could you write towards that? So yeah, because I guess that's just somewhere Jay knew that was going to be open and empty, and you guys could film on location there, and yeah. So yeah, interesting to see that it worked both ways. But yeah, Robert, come on and tell us some stories. We love stories, moonlighting stories. Yeah, he has a lot of stories. He says, yeah,
He's got a lot of stories.
and yeah, I'm sure. Like,
And keep me posted because I would love to hear that as well.
yeah,
I have learned things from this podcast that I didn't know at the time. So I would love to hear, because pre-production, that had to be post-production, they're biting their nails because they're getting everything last minute. And that's one
Yeah.
thing. Pre-production
Yep.
probably didn't even have that much guidance half the time.
I know. What we're finding lately is the promo that was cut for the episode has different cuts and is often different, and looks like the storyline was even going a different way. So maybe they cut that as soon as they got some of the footage, and then as more came in, for the final episode, they took the better cut or whatever. But have you seen the promo that we've just kind of unearthed for the atomic shape?
Yes, and I was
Atomic
going to
Shakespeare.
ask, how did you uncover that?
I've been doing a deep dive on YouTube, and people have things on YouTube. It had been up there a while, but the way people have things labeled, or it's impossible to find. And I think it just said Atomic Shakespeare. But I know I searched for promos when we were actually covering that episode on the channel. On the podcast. So I don't know. Suddenly, I think the algorithms are just better now. And when you search for one thing, it kind of pushes other things up, with AI and stuff like that, probably.
Well, that's
Because
the first time I saw it. I didn't know there was even a promo for it.
right, yeah. So that was it aired at the end of an episode as like next time on Moonlighting. So it wasn't something that was airing during the week to promote the episode. Yeah. But it has a bunch of scenes in there that didn't make the final episode, and that's what we're always wanting to see things that were filmed, like the dream sequence. We know the dream sequence has a lot of things that were filmed that just didn't make the final episode. But where is all that stuff?
And it's obvious when you watch the promo, like Maddie might say something, in one of those great scenes, and you look and you think, that's not how she said it. She said it a different way. So little things like that. And the atomic one, it's got them kissing side by side, and that's not in the episode.
Yeah.
So yeah. But it's
it's
in my script. It's in my script.
Yeah, she has the first draft of the script, but it's actually some of the stuff when you and Jeff were on the podcast a couple years ago. It's a lot of stuff that you guys were telling us about Petruchio coming home with his briefcase and the chicken feet sticking out of it, and things like that we were like heard about but never saw, but now we got to see it. So it was really amazing.
Well,
Yeah.
Honey, I'm home. I love that.
We wrote a scene. You know, Petruchio has not slept with his wife. And of course, he's clearly taken with her. And we wrote a scene about him then going to Padua for the wedding of the sister. And anyway, and we wanted this little animated scene where he was just going all over the place and screwing because he couldn't even think straight to get there because he was so frustrated. That was too ambitious, especially even now with like South Park when they're crude
Oh yeah, yeah.
animation. We couldn't even have made it then, but with our schedule,
Right.
I would have
Yeah,
loved to
I
have
remember-
seen the elevator. How you had the elevator scene in Atomic.
Yeah.
Ah,
Yeah.
Press the button.
well,
Love
you know,
to see that.
we did the Jeff and I also did the claymation thing, and that obviously we had to write before the show was even filmed because they had to start on it. So we wrote the scene where we wrote the dialogue. And they had to, animate her to that part. So no, Bruce was not in it at that point. We just sent. In fact, he didn't even see the script at this point. But we had to get Sybil into a recording booth for her lines.
Okay. No, that's a great scene. We love that one. The frog. I mean, and Alan Arkus said he had it for years, but it just disintegrated.
Alan Arkus said, "I'm sorry, say that again."
Alan Arkus said he had the frog for years, but it was
Oh.
clay, so then it just disintegrated. So yeah, love it. Just love it.
Yeah, we're mid season 4 now, and the gymnastics you guys had to do to keep that show going with Sybil's pregnancy and everything, and Bruce filming Die Hard, and yeah, it's just you can.
Well,
Yeah, you guys still. Yeah.
I'm sure someone has told you at this point that we found out at the end of the previous season, and we had to come up with a storyline and write scenes that would then be filmed, and we didn't even know where they were going. We just knew over the course of the season, we had to speak to the arc of her going back home with her parents and how we kept this alive. And it was real seat of the pants stuff. And at a certain point, we didn't have it, so we had to stick with what we had. So when we were writing an episode where we go, well, here we should, keep this alive here and put this in there. That was all, again, I mean, that was all in post-production and was not in the script at that time. But if we fit it in, we have to make room for it. It was not the way a show is normally run. I think we pretty well established.
Is it tad unusual?
yeah.
But you got to write, scenes for Robert Webber and Eva Marie Saint.
Oh no, I know that was. If I may say, we would switch off. You're going to write this, you're going to write that. I wrote that, and I was so thrilled that it was them. That I got to say, hey, I wrote for Eva Marie Saint. On the waterfront.
Something to brag about.
So amazing.
Boy, I actually
Amazing.
forgot about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
For Ray Charles, that
Yes.
stuff.
Yep. Yeah. Someone in the comments, Ron, you'll like this, says, and wow, Ron is still very handsome. Very handsome man.
Can I get
That's what you're here for. Yeah. Get Christine in here. Get Christine in here to hear that.
Thank you, Robert.
Exactly. And Danielle says, I would love to know what you had planned for Maddie and David's relationship if the Chicago storyline hadn't happened. Any insight on that? Like if Sybil hadn't gotten pregnant and Maddie and David were there and available, what was their relationship going to look like?
Boy, my memory is we had nothing. My memory is we didn't, because we were writing, was that the season? Was that the season was cut off by the strike in 89, 88?
No, that was it was no, not
No, it was after
season
that.
four.
Yeah.
Season four was cut off by the strike. Yeah, but yeah,
Yeah,
just
we were, we were too busy in the meantime and getting that season done. And I think we only turned out 13 episodes that season. It was, I think, the shortest season. I don't know if Roger and Chick did better the next season, but no, I mean, it was up to Glenn. That was the kind of thing we could certainly weigh in on. When we heard the idea, um, we didn't like, Jeff and I didn't like it. Most of the room, I think, didn't like it, but we spoke up. I remember.
yep.
And because of that, Glenn gave it to us to write the episode. I think he said, because you'll make it work. I think is what he said, something like that. But no, I
you
mean,
looked after it.
in our minds, we always at least thought we could still keep that relationship going as parents. It would maybe not have the same electricity, but we've talked about it after the fact. But no, I wish I could be more. I mean, Glenn, he'd be the one to ask. Mike, damn it, what's his name? Dugan. Who was the husband?
Oh, Dennis Dugan.
Dennis. He auditioned for the part of David Addison, and apparently they
Yeah.
quite liked it. A really interesting tryout with Bill Maher, which I didn't
Oh
know
yeah.
until
Right.
recently.
Yeah, I had heard that somewhere. Yeah.
But
Um,
to answer the
yeah.
question, I wish I could be more specific and eloquent about it. But to my
Yeah.
knowledge, largely we have not given it a lot of time.
Thought a lot of thought how to make that work going forward. Yeah, there was a big pivot. We had Dennis Dugan on the podcast not too long ago, along with Cheryl Main, and the big surprise there is he said that he was signed to do season 4 and season 5, like Glenn or you guys planned to keep Maddie married for 2 seasons, which really surprised Moonlighting fans because
We didn't know that.
no,
Well,
I mean, yeah.
I was not there for that last season, but that is a surprise to me.
Yeah. Yeah, he said he was signed. That's why they then gave him director duties because he was already supposed to be around for 2 seasons, which is crazy. Like, yeah, just the choice to marry Maddie, everybody knows that was just, I know you guys fought for it. Sybil said that she wished she fought harder not to let that happen, that she wished she refused to play the scene because it just didn't make sense in the relationship of Maddie and David, building this great romance and then, suddenly having her do something very spontaneous, which is out of character, and marry somebody else,
Right.
Well,
when the audience is invested.
the lodestone that we always used for the series, and this was actually Jeff's and my favorite romantic comedy is His Girl Friday, wherein Rosalind Russell is divorced from Cary Grant and now about to marry just the sweetest, most wonderful, handsome guy who's going to treat her like a queen. And so that we know it could work. It probably could work if we were prepared for it. But I also would have cast it differently. I would have like you want someone like Pat Boone in that part. I mean, in my opinion.
Right. Yeah.
So
Just
that would give you more comedy.
a total opposite. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. Really funny.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, we could just talk moonlighting, we just get right into it. We get so much to uncover there.
Can I just ask you, with Jay, was there some, I know there was plenty of dramas going on, but was something particular that he actually solved that seemed unlikely to be solved, like some sort of drama in the background? I know he did many, but there's something, does something stand out?
You mean in a script?
Yeah, anything like, I don't know, just, similar to what you were saying about the car, but
I'm sure production wise, he may, I'm sure production wise, he had to come up with many solutions. I mean, he had to.
you had to.
Um, I mean,
Anyone would do it.
I will say my wife did. My wife sold an episode. Um, the witness for the execution.
Mm.
Glenn gave us the go ahead to write the script, but we didn't have the third or fourth act. And we didn't know how to get to it even. And my wife one night, because I would come home and just I couldn't sleep. And she said, well, what if his slipper, because the whole idea was the person who hired him kills himself, but he had, for previous to that was, played that he was a paraplegic.
Yeah.
And she said, well, what if the slippers were facing the bed? And I'm just sitting there going, that's either like dumbest or the greatest idea ever. So I went into Glenn next morning and I said, the slippers are facing the bed. And he goes, great. Now that wouldn't have flown on Magnum or something like that, but on Moonlighting,
Yeah.
it could. And so in the episode we were writing, let's see, that would have been, the next episode would have been, I think, a Dan Loria one. There is a Detective Tapia, which is my wife's maiden name.
Your wife's maiden name, yeah.
That's great.
That's great.
Yeah.
I love how,
So nice.
certain things behind the scenes just get in front of the camera.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Someone says Jay seemed like a very calming presence. Was he always a positive guy?
Yeah.
Come on,
Never,
you were
never
saying.
saw, never,
You never
never.
saw him stressed or upset.
Yeah, no, I wish I could elaborate more on
That's
it.
great. No.
He really, really, in this business, I don't know how you can be like that.
Mm,
Even on the shows that run well,
yeah.
there's always
Always something.
there's always creative
Yeah.
things going on, and people wanting their say, and he was in the middle of it all, but he was the exact right person in hindsight. I don't think we knew him
Oh,
then,
yeah. Yeah. He had the patience of a saint. It sounded like you needed that calm, steady presence with all the chaos that was going on. Yeah. Around
Mhm.
it. Yeah. And, subsequently when he went to Roseanne and then when he did Sybil again with her and he just seemed like the actress whisperer or something like that. Yeah,
Yeah.
you have some
I
volatile
like
people
that. I
around.
like that,
You need a
Shauna.
Jay Daniel. And the actress whisperer,
Actress
that's Jay,
whisperer.
that was Jay Daniel.
I love it.
Don't get variety anymore. I don't know if either of you read it, but if there's a write-up about it, I would love to see what they say about Jay.
Oh.
About Jay. There was a Hollywood reporter. So far, that's what we've seen. In the Hollywood Reporter, they wrote, there was a write-up about him.
I
I'll
think
send you
Jeff
the
can,
link later.
I'll ask him, yeah.
Yeah, I can send you the link as well. Well, and any other words right now? Should we start the video?
Start the video. Start the show.
Okay.
Start the show.
Start the show. Start the show.
I'm going to watch a little bit of it, and then I'm going to have to sneak off and get my computer. So
Yes.
time to talk with you and with all of you out there. And I want to thank you for this opportunity.
Oh, Ron,
Yeah.
thank you for coming on. We really appreciate it. It's great to have you on
Yeah.
again.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And so great.
Thank you.
Great to hear more about Jay and his calm presence and just everything he did for the show, which is why we're here today. So yes, basically, everyone watching and joining in now, I'm going to show a video at the beginning. It has a clip of Jay, which I think you'll appreciate. That was filmed basically the last week of filming on Moonlighting. Someone did a kind of behind the scenes interviews with a lot of the cast and crew. And so I'm going to play the clip that Jay filmed. And then we're going to listen to the interview that Grace and I did with Jay in November of 2022. So we can hear about his life and his words, his own words, and fans' messages and different images will show up. during the video. So that's, it's about an hour. So, yep. And then there's some videos that fans sent in after that. And this will all be online also, for anyone who has to leave halfway through or whatever. You can come back and watch it later. It'll stay online. All right, but yes, thanks again, Ron, for all of that.
Thank you.
All of those words. Yeah. All right. Is this playing? Okay.
So Jay, what does the end of Moonlighting mean to you?
What does the end of Moonlighting mean to me? Well, yeah. Bruce is how late? Oh, okay. Well, is Sybil still nursing? Well, okay, that should work out. You should get here about the time she's through. Yeah, just tell them to break out the cards. Oh, okay, yeah. Moonlighting. What does the end of Moonlighting mean to me? Well, excuse me. Yeah? I'm sorry? The dentist, yes. What time? But, I mean, if he's going to... What time? Well, you think Sybil could maybe coordinate her nursing with the dental? No way, huh? Yeah. Well, just break for lunch a little early, I guess, and tell the guys not to hurry back. Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. Bye. What was the question? Oh, yeah. What does Moonlighting mean to me? The end of Moonlighting. The end of Moon... Excuse me, just one second. Yeah? What do you mean the scene blows? What do you want to do? Can you do that for 10 pages? Yeah, let me get a hold of Chick and I'll come down, okay? All right, I'll be there soon. Yeah, bye. Now, the end of Moonlighting really means to me that let me just put this on hold for a second. The end of Moonlighting means to me that we'll be saying goodbye to a lot of friends that have really become like a family, and I'll miss them all very much. And I guess it means that we'll finally have time to sit back and reflect on what it is we've accomplished here, and I think in time, when the bad parts go away and we only remember the good parts, we're all going to be very proud. Thanks.
Yeah.
The following is an interview with Jay Daniel, who was an integral part in the production of Moonlighting. We had a wonderful conversation with him, and what a great sense of humour. Thank you, Jay, for your time and extensive knowledge and fond memories of the show. And special thanks to Scott Ryan, the author of the Moonlighting book, An Oral History. And now, please enjoy our interview with executive producer and director, Jay Daniel. Welcome to the show, Moonlighting fans. Whether you're a Moonlighting fan from way back when, or whether you are new to Moonlighting and you want to know what all the hype is about, you have come to the right place. Hi, I'm Grace.
And I'm Shauna. And we're your hosts for the podcast that is all about moonlighting. When we talk about moonlighting, we're talking about the Emmy Award-winning 80s TV series starring Bruce Willis and Sybil Shepherd. So if you're a fan of theirs, you're going to want to stay tuned as we review all 66 episodes.
We hope you enjoy this journey with us because we are going to be watching the series episodes one by one and discussing them every week. Now, this is going to take several years, as you can imagine, so please join us because we are going to have so much fun along the way. We will also be releasing bonus episodes of interviews with creators, cast and crew to extend your listening experience.
That's right, and we really want to include our Moonlighting fans in this project as much as possible. So write to us and let us know what your thoughts are, and even if you have some trivia to disclose. Our email address is fans@moonlightingthepodcast.com. and we will include you in our future episodes.
So stay with us. Shauna and I are beyond excited to finally bring moonlighting into the 21st century for some serious discussions. You up for it, Shauna?
I sure am. Well, let's get started. Welcome to Moonlighting, the podcast, Jay.
Thank you very much. Glad to be here. Thank you for asking me.
Oh, sure. It's a pleasure to have you. Grace is calling in from Melbourne, Australia.
Ah, good.
Hi, Jay.
Hi.
All right. Well, hopefully your memory is long, right? 35 plus years.
Well, some of it is and some of it isn't, so we'll find out, I guess.
Yes, exactly. We'll find out. I know you've talked a lot about moonlighting over the years, so, if we can dig out anything new today.
Okay. Well, I'm ready to answer any questions you have as best as I can, and I'm so happy to hear that this we may get syndicated here. So that's a big event for us, So that's great. But yeah, fire away, and I'll do the best I can.
So let's talk about moonlighting streaming soon. I saw on Twitter that Glenn said that they'll probably go back to the film, get the film and remaster it. If he was a betting man, he said, he thought that they would start there. So where is that film? Where is all the footage of moonlighting?
That's not a question I can answer. I honestly am not sure. Glenn probably knows better than I do. Or now, where it's physically stored, I have not a.
Okay. Yeah.
Probably at Disney somewhere.
Probably in some Disney vault next to
I would think
Snow
so,
White or something.
Goofy or something.
Exactly.
That's where I started in the business, by the way.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Oh,
my
wow.
My first job.
And what did you do there?
Well, I was fortunate and got in the Directors Guild trainee program, which is sponsored by the Producers Guild and the directors. You enter a sort of I guess you'd call it a contest. You take a nationwide test, and there's a bunch of applicants and all over the country, and I was fortunate enough to be a top 50, like 2,500 applicants.
Oh, wow.
This program. It was in its second year, I think, maybe third, but it was a new thing, so that's a good thing. But anyway, I was fortunate enough to get in, and the top 50 has an interview with a bunch of people from the business that achieved success, and that you sort of recognize their faces, and you're like sitting in the spotlight, and they're around you asking questions.
Yeah.
But apparently I answered okay. I do remember the last question they asked me was, scared the hell out of me, was, if you don't get in this program, what do you think you'll do? And I said something like, well, I know I'm going to get in this business one way or another. So that's what I'll do. I'll keep pursuing getting in this business until I do. And I got chosen. They took 10, and I was chosen as one of the 10.
Wow.
And so this was my very first job on a studio lot. And it was at Disney. It was a great place to start because they do things a little differently there. It's a little less formal. Security's a little looser. It's just a pleasant place to work,
Yeah.
I learned not much later that every studio wasn't quite like that.
Yeah.
A little harder edged here and there.
What was your original intent when you went into the business? Was it acting, directing? You ended up, directing and producing?
Well, I went to college at Oklahoma State and majored in theater arts. I had a scholarship. I'd won some contests. I actually was a 2-time state champion in speech contests, and finished second in the nation. Off of that, I got a scholarship to OSU in theater arts and had a wonderful experience there for 4 years. And I came out here. I either had to go east or west. I knew that. And So I came to California and was fortunate enough to get my master's at UCLA. It was at UCLA that I saw on the bulletin board a little small sign that described this new trainee program. Some luck along the way, I guess, to find out about it and all of that, and be fortunate enough to get in. Many people applying, there had to be somebody watching over me to an Okie in, you know. But when I was at OSU, Oklahoma State, I majored in theater, as I said, and I was focused on acting. And I left there, you know, feeling that that's what I was going to be doing out here. But the last thing I did at OSU was I wrote a play. And it was, you know, a short play, like a 45 minutes. We staged it at the small theater at Oklahoma State, and it was well received. And I realized that, you know, producing and that I might want to do that rather than be the actor that's being told what to do by the director or the producer. You know what I'm saying? So I ended up coming out here thinking I was still going to be an actor. I actually got in. I was in graduate school. I did one role, and saw me on stage at UCLA and said, "You're right for this role." I've forgotten her name, but I went out into the valley to meet with the director, Peter Bogdanovich. He was living in a house out there with his wife at that time. So I did a very small role in his first film, which was called Targets.
Wow.
And I had like maybe 3 or 4 lines. My first introduction into the business as an actor, and it was raining at a drive-in theater. And I had to run outside and tell everybody that someone was behind the screen shooting at people in cars, you know. So
Wow.
that was my introduction into acting. And I said, you know, maybe I should do what Bogdanovich is doing instead of this, you know.
Wow. It all kind of ties together, doesn't it? Starting with Peter Bogdanovich.
And then, of course, I got to know Peter very well when I got to know Sybil very well.
That's right.
So that was all really, and she swears that he remembers me from the part I did.
Yeah. No, it's interesting. And so, you know, back to the moonlighting footage, because, you know, us moonlighting fans, we always want more, right?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
So of what you of what you know of the moonlighting footage, do you think there is more? Are there extra scenes to be had and shown on this streaming? Are there more bloopers? Is there maybe a director's cut with the footage? Will we be able to see more?
That's an interesting question, and I don't have a good answer for you because the deal just, if it's made, it's just made. So I honestly don't know. But if I go back in my mind over, because I spend a lot of time in the editing room. Editing really is the final rewrite. So we spend a lot of time editing. So are there things on the editing room floor that might be interesting? If they are, it's a little bitty pieces. There's no big major scene that I can recall that we had to cut because for time, or if it didn't work, we went back and shot it again, you know. So it's I wouldn't think you're going to see a whole lot of new. I'm sure there are places where somebody broke up and whatnot, you know, laughed and then had to cut and go forward and whatnot.
Yeah.
Wasn't really that kind of set.
It sounded like normally you guys were short footage, so there's probably not a lot of extra footage.
That's very true. That's very true. We were happy just to get it those minutes that filled the time done, you know. So we didn't do anything extra that I could remember ever, you know.
Yeah.
No, that wasn't the answer you wanted, but I'm afraid it's true.
Yeah, no, we're just curious about, these are things that we wonder, you know, there's no right answer or wrong answer. And do you remember, I think it was either you said in an interview or Robert Butler said in an interview that there was a screen test with Sybil and Bruce. It was a screen test when they were dancing in the bar that was different
Yes.
from what was in the pilot. But
Correct.
we haven't seen that. So where is it?
Well, they have a copy of it, and Glenn probably does,
Oh, okay.
in terms of whether or not ABC's Circle would have held on to that particular scene. The story is pretty much in the book. We saw a lot of guys for David Addison, and we read, the number changes. Someone says, we read more than 300, and then we'll top that and say, no, there's 400. And then I don't know how many really exactly it was, but I think we read every able-bodied actor that could walk to the room to read. We read it, so.
Yeah.
When you get to Desi Arnaz Jr. sweating his face off, you're sort of near the bottom of the barrel here. Nothing like that. Maybe we're looking a little too far now, but the memory of when Bruce finally appeared is something you just don't forget. He was out here meeting for it was a military thing. That's the reason he was out here. So his head was almost shaved, and he came in wearing like fatigues because he'd come from meeting for this other role, this other feature. And my memory is he climbed up on the table, cross-legged on the table. And somebody else that was in the room remembers, I think it was Rubens, file cabinet, but my memory and everybody else I've talked to about it is that he just got up on the table and sat there and his legs crossed and read the part,
Yeah.
He walked out of the room and David Addison.
Yeah. So memorable. Really made himself stand out.
We felt it. Glenn felt it like really in his bones, written
Yes.
the character, and it was in some ways in his mind based on him. That he's the guy to recognize the guy. And so when he said that, we go, yeah. And was it exactly the vision that I'd had of who David Addison was at that particular moment? I was going, well, I think so,
Mm-hmm.
But I did a screen test, which was really a very, you go to a place that does inserts for you, where you take a picture of someone picking glasses and you shoot the glasses tight and show their hand pick them up. You go to a house that normally shoots that way. Well, we did that with Bruce. They still went, don't think so. I don't know. Yeah. But we knew we had to do a screen test with Sybil. Ended up doing that. The scene that you mentioned, really just a big empty soundstage, which we hung black curtains and lit it well, moved the camera quite well. And we shot that scene that was eventually shot for the pilot in a real bar elsewhere. For that screen test, that's what we shot. You know what? I like that scene better than the one that's in the pilot. It just sort of worked in a sort of magical way.
Yes. And I would love to see that.
You saw them, what they could be. And we did another scene. We went to another place, to a set that we just rent of a kitchen. Got a scene there as well with the two of them, which worked very well too. But the scene that really killed was them dancing together.
Yeah.
I think that's what got Bruce the role.
It does seem like we have the footage of them in the kitchen and some of the other test readings that Bruce did and stuff, but the dancing scene that you're talking about, we haven't seen, and it'd be great if that could be released at some point.
Yeah. Are you in touch with Glenn at all? Or
Yes.
he probably has it.
Okay.
I'll look at what I've got upstairs. I have a lot of stuff, but I don't know that I have that.
Okay. Yeah, that'd be great.
That was really for network.
Sounds like an amazing scene.
Yeah, for us it was. It really did work. It was a very important time in the pilot, because if he hadn't have gotten Bruce, I don't know who else could have done.
As we always say, the show wouldn't work without the two of them together. So
That's right.
that was very
right.
important.
And we were unfortunate enough we were able to prove that. She got pregnant, so.
I know, yes.
Anyway.
First of all, Jay, it's a pleasure to have you with us today. So I just wanted to say that before I begin. Thank you for joining us.
Enjoying being here. Thank you.
My impression of you is that you were the glue that held it all together. That's the Moonlighting fans' impression. I just want to go back to a typical day on the set. We're sort of interested in the specifics of your role on the show and what a typical day looked like for you.
Oh, well, let me see.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Well, the day would usually start with, I always went to the set first thing, location or not, on stage, I'd go, but obviously, but even if it's downtown LA, I was there when the crew arrived. And would talk immediately, get with the director and talk about the day and where this is going to be shot and all that. And where to put the trucks and all that sort of stuff. Just making sure that the plan for the day was set in everybody's mind, exactly what we were trying to accomplish, what scenes we were going to be shooting, and how do we prepare in advance while we're doing scene 1, how do we prepare scene 3 while scene 1 is being shot, those kinds of discussions, you know. And then I'd go to the studio and my office and deal with whatever needed to be dealt with there, and eventually find myself in the editing room, editing either one of the scenes that we'd shot for the particular show we were now shooting, or we would still be editing the show we shot before. I might be working on that one, you know, with the editor. And so quite a bit of my day was spent with the editors in the editing room. Because the pace of the show and the energy of the show and the way it was cut in terms of it's pretty quick if you watch it next to another show. And it certainly was, in those days, very quick for a television show in terms of the speed of the dialogue and overlapping dialogue and all of that sort of thing. And dealing with that's, you know, becomes an editing room situation as well. So, and then I was involved in casting. I would only go when it was one of the major role. I wouldn't go for the tiny parts, but was involved in that way. And then there are days that a film is ready to be mixed, so you're spending your day on the mixing stage with the sound editors and whatnot, and adding the music and making this choice or that choice in terms of which of those two performances work best on the big screen here, and things like that. And the editing room was there's a phone in the editing room, so when there was nothing up there to edit, you're on the phone talking to somebody else about probably the show you're going to be doing in another 3 weeks, you know, and we're going to be needing a such and such then. So you got to start looking for the such and such now, because those are hard to find, whatever the such and such is, you know. It's the combination of, the first thing you have to come to a realization of when you're doing this kind of thing is that kind of switch that will let you go from show A to show D as you walk from editing room 1 to editing room 4. Now you're on another show. That show has a whole other mood to it than what you just cut on the other show. So a lot of time is spent making certain that the best performance ends up on film. And somebody has to make that decision. Should we be there? Should we be there with the camera? I love all that stuff. As I say, I do find it to be the final rewrite, and Glenn did too, in terms of he'd look at the rough cut, and he'd look at my final cut, and give notes occasionally. And sometimes he'd see something that he felt didn't quite work, and you'd go back and fix it. That's one of my days. Did that help at all?
Yes, it sounds like you're a jack of all trades.
Well, I don't know about all trades, but there's a ton of trades in this business, and you got to be good at one or two of them. Or you're not going to be in the business, you know. So, but yeah, that's my way of working. I find the editing room extremely important. I find the dubbing stage, it can be very important. The show very often would present itself the problem that you go, well, now, wait a second. I could do this in a feature, but how can I do this for television? You know, look at the pilot. Look at that building in the pilot where they're hanging off of the clock. Just finding that set. Glenn wasn't sure where to shoot that. So I thought of the Capitol Records building would be interesting. And then we went up there, and of course, there's not enough room up there, and couldn't play the scene up there. Otherwise, it was great. And I did get to see where Frank Sinatra recorded his music.
Wow, that's amazing.
but finding that was a blessing in that there's probably only one building in Los Angeles that you could have shot that scene the way we shot it. We had a location manager diligent enough to go find it for us, and it turns out it's right in the middle of downtown Los Angeles. It's just a very different looking building. So, but the way we ended up shooting that, with them hanging off of that clock, the key to that was that there's not just one clock up there. There are 4 clocks.
Right.
One on each side of this part of the building. So you could shoot on the back of the building where there was an area that actually created a stage for you underneath the clock. Clock was up 12 feet above your head, maybe higher than that. You have all your equipment staged on that platform that exists already built on the building, right? So you could shoot that straight on, hanging on the clock, and play the scene and do all that. And then to prove where you are, you had to go shoot clock number 2, which was on the side of the building, and you shot it that way. So you could see them, the clock would be on your left, let's say, and they're hanging from it. And on the right, you see the street below going away from you and the city behind and all of that. And believe me, you believe that clock number 2 is just another angle of clock number 1. I shoot clock number 3, it's just another angle of clock number 1. I made myself clear in terms of how complicated these things can get, but how fortunate we were to even add to the complexity of it and make it into a scene I'm quite proud of, you know.
Oh, yeah.
You believe it when you watch it, you know, and you're on a real building, and that's a real street down there, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a great shot. You've got a great location, and I still get anxiety when I watch it.
Well, you just made my day. Thank you.
So while we're talking about locations, I just want to ask you about some of the locations that were used on Moonlighting. I would imagine at times it would have been quite difficult to find some of those locations. The scripts were known to come down very late.
Yeah.
So how would you find all these locations at such short notice? So, for example, one week Maddie and David will be in a boxing ring, and in another episode they're in a theatre. So I was just wondering how you found the location so quickly with the brevity of completing an episode.
Yeah. Well, you have a location manager. You have one that is the head location manager, and then one that is his assistant. And in a usual circumstance, the location manager himself is out scouting for different locations, and his assistant would be scouting for locations for even a show that's going to be shot later. Or they may both be looking. But they're out there doing the advance work. Because like you say, you have a boxing scene. Well, there's only so many places in L.A. you can go that's going to be believable. Olympic theater is the first thing that comes to mind because the wrestling and boxing went on and whatnot. And that's what we ended up shooting and worked great. But that could have been a situation where it didn't work great or they wouldn't let you shoot there. And now where do you go? You probably end up having to create something on stage, which would be more expensive, first of all, and probably not look as well. So you make that decision that this is the key scene is this boxing match where the money should be spent because that's what the show's about, in that particular instance.
You did mention a lot of overlapping, there was a lot of overlapping dialogue between Maddie and David.
Right.
While we've been scrutinising the show now that we're doing a podcast, we've noticed a lot of single shots, not a lot of wide shots. Therefore, we assume they're not in the room together. And there's a specific scene, I don't know if you remember it or not, but there's a scene in Knowing Her where David preparing to go to the funeral of Harlan Armstrong. And there's not one shot of them together. There's a rear shot of the body double for Sybil. Other than that, there's all single shots of the both of them. But there's overlapping dialogue. So we were sort of debating, was she there or whether this was done in sound or in the editing room where they overlapped their dialogue, because we really don't think they were in the room together.
Well, I don't know the particular scene that you're talking about. I can remember a scene that we did shoot that would involve what you're talking about. And it was, I'll tell the story this way. I was driving to work first thing in the morning, still dark, and I go over a hill, and on the radio comes the fact that NASA's missile blew up.
Oh, yeah.
Challenger.
Okay, so I'm on my way to go shoot a scene, and I'm trying to decide, oh my God, now what do I do here? And I decided that we shouldn't shoot. So I had to make some calls while I was driving, obviously, and I finally was able to convince everybody that this was, if we shot, we'd have to go reshoot it because nobody was going to be in the mood to shoot this particular kind of scene after what's just happened. So that changes things, and sometimes you're forced into a position where you can't get David and Maddie together, because of scheduling situations and whatnot. The other one I can think of is that was responsible for what you're talking about happening. We were shooting in an underground garage scene. And once again, I'm driving to work. I hear on the radio that David Addison, Bruce Willis, David Addison, has had a little skiing accident, broken his collarbone.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm on the way to shoot a scene with him.
Oh, no. That's a great way to find out the news.
Yeah, that's a good way to start your day. And so, it ended up that I had his double there. And so I just shot the scene with the double and used him as like over his shoulder to who David's talking to, and a wide shot that doesn't really, you can't really see David's face, etc. And then a few days later, and actually maybe more like a week later, I went back with Bruce and shot the scene again, and I think I had one of the actors that was there, and never had Sybil and Bruce together. And so in that instance, you do the overlapping dialogue in post. You have to. You can put her off stage and do the overlap in a car, really a controlled situation like that. You do all that at once. But in this particular instance, you don't really have both your actors together. There's no choice. If you're over somebody's shoulder who isn't really Bruce, I talked to the stand-in about watching Bruce very closely and how he moves you know, when he's talking from the back. He did that, and there are times that I have to go, now is it double or is that Bruce? You know. So the overlapping dialogue was kind of a signature thing for the show, and it's not something that you'd want to sacrifice.
So whenever they could, they would be in the same room overlapping the dialogue.
Absolutely. They got to be very good at it.
It's amazing. Sybil described it as cliff diving for them.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's well said, actually.
And the more we watch it and scrutinize the show like we do for the podcast, we're sometimes like, that was amazing that they hit that timing the way they did. It must have been really fun to be in the room watching that week after week.
Yeah, if the moods were good and all of that, it was really a fun show to do. And you know, you were always doing something, not always, but very often you were doing something that you haven't seen on television before, done quite like that. So it has its little surprises for everybody, and you know, the talking to the camera, and they take you out of the show, but at the same time they do it in a way that's kind of, well, that was kind of good. I thought that added difference to the show as well. But the one thing I would want to say is that Glenn deserves a ton of credit for the creation of characters, especially the Bruce character. And he bears some responsibility because he's so impeccable and hard on himself in terms of writing that he does a lot of rewrites. His way of working, he'd come in early in the morning, and we'd be, you know, we'd have a, let's say we have a scene that we know we're going to shoot, and he's going to do a rewrite of that scene because it's not quite right yet to him. Now, he could sit down and rewrite that scene because he probably would have thought about it when he was driving there and whatnot, and run upstairs, pull something down. Instead, his methodology was to start at the beginning.
Wow.
A little change here, a little change there, until he got to the critical scene that he had to change, because he knew exactly what built up to it and whatnot. The little changes that he'd made getting into the scene, he'd already shot those scenes. So he was doing it just to get him to where he needed to be to write that particular scene.
Wow.
That methodology is part of the reason the show was what it was, because he wouldn't give up until he said what he wanted that scene to say. This was in the days of, today you have your cell phone with you. Want to call Glenn and ask him a question, you call his cell phone, he picks up, and back then you had to find a payphone to call the studio, because the radios wouldn't reach. I don't know, but that added to the inconvenience. And I've been in situations where the script would be dictated by Glenn and the script supervisor over the telephone. He'd write it down in longhand. We'd go shoot the scene.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So yeah, it was interesting, to say the least, and but his perfectionism, it had to be right. And this particular scene that he just wrote, he wouldn't hesitate to just wad it up and throw it away and start again. So we ended up behind a lot. And to schedule, you would have to schedule knowing what a scene is going to be once it's written out of his mouth. That's the only thing you had to work with. This is going to be a such and such scene at a garbage dump or whatever, you know. So you know to go find a garbage dump.
Okay.
And, of course, it's the wrong kind of garbage dump. They dump the wrong kind of garbage here. We can't shoot that. We got to go over here. So you were kind of stuck with that more often than you'd like, you know, because if you'd have just had another day to prepare, maybe it could have made that much better. But I have come to the conclusion in some of these conversations like this that I've had is that I think that his way of working created kind of a spontaneity, because it really was kind of the first times they ever heard themselves say those lines. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So it was coming at the moment in its way.
Yeah.
And so it added, I don't know if urgency is the right word, but spontaneity. They didn't have time to think about how would I say this so that all of the feelings that I feel are coming out. They just said the line, and instinct kicked in, and it came out perfectly. Whereas if they'd have had a lot of time to thought, oh, wouldn't it be ingenious if I said it like such and such? It sound like a question. Oh, that'd be good. So you have to tell them no.
Such a tedious way to work, but yes, I think it created the magic to write like that, rewrite everything until you get to the screen.
But I admire that.
I know.
In a strange way. He found that it worked for him, and I've never heard of anybody else that does it that way.
Yeah.
It worked well for him. Let me put it that way.
Yeah.
Thank goodness it did, because that was the only way he was going to be able to write. That was it.
Yeah, it kind of created the magic. And you would do that with scenes as well, wouldn't you? With directors, you would say, is that really how you wanted it? You know, and you guys would take the time to get it right, even if you were, running short on time.
That is correct. That's correct. We wanted what we wanted, and the network, we were fortunate to have a hit show. We were fortunate that we had a show that's was being talked about in the trades and magazines, and that was part of it, because there was a huge curiosity around the show, and about is it going to be on this week even?
Yes, we remember.
Old openings about why we aren't on this week, So when we got to there, I said, "Oh God, what are we doing now?" But people stuck with us. Thank goodness.
Oh yeah. When the show finally aired, it was so great. How could you not?
Yeah, right. Thank you for saying that.
You had a lot of very talented people on the show. They had you, they had obviously Bruce and Sybil, but Jerry Finneman being the director of photography, Robert Turteries for costume design. It was a great team.
Yes, you're absolutely correct. You just mentioned two key elements of the show. Jerry Finneman, old timer, he wanted to do everything he possibly could. He was so good with Sybil, very taken care of, and that helped. He was an older gentleman, and he got a great crew. So you count your blessings there. Turteries, he gave her a wonderful look. Again, gave another level of credence to the show. Those kinds of little things in a show like this make a big difference. You never know why they tune in. But when you dress her as well as you possibly can. Have her look as good as you possibly can. You need somebody like Bob Turteries who can tell her, you look better in that than in that, so you're going to wear that. That was him. They had that relationship, and that worked great. She trusted him, and he had to do some work on her in terms to make her look as good as she looked.
Yeah.
You couldn't deflate him in any way. He knew what he was doing. He'd take the time and trouble to talk her into it.
Yeah, as far as her look, I don't know if you know the answer, to this, but each week her hair or her look was a little bit different, maybe to show the passage of time. It was another few weeks later, months later, from the previous episode. Was there thought put into that?
Well, not really. We sort of left that up to Sybil and her people, because she never, she was not the kind of person. I worked with one that was the kind of person that would have been with, having had very long hair, having it cut very, very short, didn't know it was going to happen. Had already shot scenes with it very, very long. So,
oh yeah.
But that's another story entirely. Not involved.
Right. So the mood on the set, and you were there from pretty much very beginning to the very end, right?
Yep.
So in Scott Ryan's book, reading how the memories of people's time on the set, people seem to be more resentful of Sybil's behavior and maybe blame her for more of the tension between the two of them, although I'm sure it could change from time to time. But is that the way you see it at all? Or how did you view their relationship over the course of the series?
Boy, good question. It could, and your observation about how the crew felt about it is correct. I mean, the one thing the crew hates is hurry up and wait. Hurry up, you got to get this set lit. We got to get this over here and get over this. So, okay, we're ready. They sit and wait till she's ready. And, as time went along, it just seemed to happen more and more, especially once she was pregnant, and especially once she was involved with kids in her trailer. It got worse, So, yeah, you're sitting and waiting for her a lot. And I would figure out ways to busy the crew because I knew there was going to be a wait here. Mm-hmm. She has to change from this to this. That's going to take some time. So we'd do shots like elevator doors open and you'd walk out and down the hallway. Well, that wouldn't be Sybil. It'd be something I could shoot with outside the scene, the main scene that was being shot. In the outer office, I'd go shoot that. And then finally, we got word she was on her way to the set, and things were ready for her when she got there. But there was no way to hurry her up. Even, chair and whip and all the above didn't work. But striped shirt didn't help.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and she deserved some of that. A lot of it, actually. I mean, you expect that, but not at the level that it came. And I think, part of Sybil's attitude, et cetera, was Bruce's success. Mm. I think it was very hard for her. She was a star. Now, here's Bruce. Bruce was a nobody when she met him. He's becoming the star. I think that contributed to the overall mood of the set quite often.
Yeah.
Bruce was a happy guy and for the most part, and would come in full of energy and wakes up slower and there's just a lot of little things like that you have to deal with in any show you do.
Yeah.
But the crew felt that she was more at fault for them having to work as late as they did because she knew he wanted to get out of there, get to the nearest place of enjoyment. So.
Mm-hmm. No, I think, a lot of those things, like you said, are pretty obvious. She was a star and he was a nobody at first. And then it slowly kind of...
Yeah.
They switched roles.
Yeah, switched roles a bit. And that would be hard.
I remember sitting at an awards show. We went and sat at a table afterwards, Glenn and I and Bruce and Sybil and a few other people. And I remember two girls came up and asked for Bruce's autograph. They did not ask for hers.
Oh, dear.
Really changed. I still remember that. It was very quiet, and I'll give you some evidence of that, too. After Moonlighting, I worked on Roseanne. Then after that, the wife thought I was insane. I said, Roseanne's success was based on a comic act. When she did that comic act, she was using stories from her own life in a funny way. And you know what? Sybil, you've had a very interesting life. And totally different feel to it because Sybil and Roseanne are completely different. But at the same time, you both have life stories. An older actress struggling to get a role here and a role there every now and then, et cetera, sold her on it, went and did it. Got Chuck Lorre to write it. We decided that one of the things that was missing was got to give her more people to talk to, and that means she should have a best friend. And so we went looking for the best friend. Ended up with Christine Baranski.
Yes.
She had no idea who Christine was. But she liked Christine they read together, and it worked beautifully. So we cast Christine. And then as time went by, Sybil started to realize that when we had the audience in, Christine was getting most of the laughs.
Yeah.
It was extremely funny. She was playing at being a little tipsy. Sybil went on a rampage and said we shouldn't show her drinking and because it was getting laughs. But she had other reasons, obviously. So that went on. Now, one thing that happened, again, this has nothing to do with Moonlighting, except it's the same actress, okay?
Yes.
Sybil and Christine playing a role. They're sitting outside on her balcony in this set that we had. And Sybil says the line, Christine says the line, et cetera, et cetera. Sybil comes over and says, I should say that line. The crew fell over when Christine did.
Mm.
It was very funny.
Yeah.
And she was adamant about it. She said, I'm giving her all the funny lines. So I had to go to Christine. She was very, very gracious about it and said, of course. So when the audience came in, which line do you think they laughed at?
Christine's again.
Baranski's line.
Yeah,
That's the laugh.
Yes.
It had been Sybil's laugh. That was her line.
Can't win. Can't get the laugh.
So, you see what I'm saying?
Yes, I know. Yes. And both of those co-stars won Emmys as well. So I'm sure that was
Oh, that was the day. Yeah. And of course, Christine, being Christine, brought her Emmy in. Show everybody.
Uh-oh.
Whoopsies.
Yeah.
Sybil looked at it.
Oh my goodness. I bet. And Sybil was off having her babies, I think, when Bruce won his, so he couldn't flip too much.
Yeah.
The next day.
She didn't love that either.
No, I know.
No.
Yeah, no, I can imagine.
Jay, is there any other fond memories that you would like to share with us? And is there anything in particular that nobody has ever asked you about Moonlighting? Anything we should know?
Well, one little interesting sideline bit is, we did the Shakespeare show, and I directed half of it, and another director directed the other half, because it was a 10-day shoot. And we shot on the back lot at Universal. There's a courtyard there with a fountain in it, very Shakespearean. I was able to direct that, and realized that Curtis Armstrong was a fun little actor in Moonlighting, and I thought did a really good job for what he was hired for. But he had done quite a lot of Shakespeare. So one of the scenes I shot, I opened with him walking across this, crowded courtyard, all these Elizabethan costumes and whatnot, spouting Shakespearean like dialogue, God, he really was good. So I said, well, maybe we've got something here. So it turned out that we shot that on schedule by busing them back and forth. I mean, Bruce would be at a church that was an hour away, and we would bring Bruce to our set and send Sybil to that set to be shot, part of her scenes to be shot there, and each part of his scenes to be shot there. So it was very complicated, and it was very gratifying for it to turn out as well as it did. I mean, I felt everybody was saying, are you guys nuts? But he seemed to really enjoy that particular show.
Oh, yeah.
And that made me feel good. I actually, I had played Bruce's part in college.
Wow.
Petruchio, so I knew every line.
Oh, my God. That's great.
The real ones, not his,
Yes.
but the real ones.
Yes.
Petruchio really said this. He'd hit me on the shoulder.
That's great. You directed scenes that we don't even know about, but you directed like Blonde on Blonde and Straight Poop.
Yeah.
So when you were directing Blonde on Blonde, which is a beautiful show, and
thank you.
Yeah, I mean the lighting and the directing is just great on that show. With you stepping into the role as director, was it a little bit easier than a kind of unknown director coming onto the set and warming up to everybody? Like, you're familiar with Bruce and Sybil, so was it an easier thing to do?
Well, for me it was because I just did what I wanted to do, and very often we tried to get the top directors that we could find, that were available and not locked in, and we got some damn good ones. And I just felt like I want somebody to come and say, did such and such and such and such, we'd have a nicer shot of this. But I talked to people about that, and usually, what do you think about this or that? I don't have anybody to do that role for me. So I went to Jerry Finnerman and said, if you see something that you think is a little better, please feel free to tell me. So we just had that kind of relationship that way, and so everybody did their job. It moved quite quickly, actually.
Yeah.
Episode did. Sybil was great. She was. There wasn't a lot of Bruce in that show, so it was a lot about her, and so that worked out well too. And you look back on these things and you go, boy, if that hadn't have happened, I don't know if that show would have worked or not, But we came up with such and such, and that made that sing, and we got lucky a lot that way. And actually, Glenn would look at dailies and be unhappy with something he'd written. Sometimes I could fix it by doing an over the shoulder of the person speaking, like if David's line, I'd be over David, and take care of it that way. Other times we'd have to go shoot a little pickup piece in a show. But we were able to figure that out, use the second camera. We always had two cameras. Use the second camera crew to do that little shot. Those kinds of things that happens in any show. You think you get away from, we can shoot this day for night. It'll cut in with the night shots. And of course, you try to cut it into the night shots, and it looks like day for night. So you have to go shoot a night shot somewhere. So
Yes.
Can I just ask you about, 'twas the episode before Christmas, when everybody was gathered around, friends and family, cast and crew. How planned was that? How far ahead was that planned? Moonies want to know.
God, we probably knew we were going to be doing it 3 weeks, 4 weeks maybe in advance, that we're going to be doing something like that. We didn't know exactly what. It turned out okay, I thought. It's one thing that we almost missed getting a shot of one of Glenn's kids. So that's one memory he shouldn't have. But no, it was the event itself for the crew and all of that. It was a very nice thing. I think everybody enjoyed it. They could let their hair down and fun of each other and that sort of thing. And yeah, it was a nice get together. And to meet a lot of the family members too was interesting. Oh, this is your wife. Oh, interesting. He doesn't sound a thing like you talk about. Whatever.
Yeah. Not what I pictured. Yeah. Good.
Yeah.
For good or bad.
I have another thing in mind, darling. But, can we recast here? No.
It's funny.
But the hours, you can talk about the hours on the show were long, but they're always long on any show worth its weight. A 12-hour day is a blessing sometimes. If you don't stay and get it done, then when the hell are you going to do it? So it's those are tough decisions. But you do, and somehow they get on the air, and nobody seems to notice that it would have been a better shot if you'd had that, But that's really all you can do is try to make it as good as you can.
Yeah.
Don't be nuts and, do 9 takes or something, or be absolutely perfect, or something like that. But at the same time, to go to take 3 to get a particular important point across that didn't quite make it with the way it was read, those are important decisions to make. And sometimes you get your hand slapped a little bit, and as long as the ratings are there, we were let alone, I think they gave us as much freedom, I guess would be the word. We were able to do some things. I don't know that as a fact, but it seemed that way to me.
Oh, yeah.
And because we're going, that show wasn't good enough. We got to do better,
Yep.
That's the business.
Yeah. We think it came out great, and it's really going to be fun to see when it's streaming, new audiences and how they take to it.
I'm anxious to see what the new audiences think of it. Sure, those that haven't seen it, those that are going to revisit it will probably. I think they'll respond well to it, in terms of nostalgia of it, and there's nothing quite like it on the air right now either. It's quite a different show, and the novelty of it, I think, would at least draw people. I've heard of this show, and people say they really loved it, but I've never seen one. And hopefully they'll see one and that they are intrigued by, and have some new audience members.
It'll be great for new generations to watch it. My grandson, he sings the theme song.
Oh, is that true? Oh, that's great. That's great.
Yeah, and the biggest complaint we hear is, where is it? Why can't I find it anywhere?
Yeah,
Why isn't,
yeah.
I'm sure you hear that.
That's what I hear. I'm going to be so happy not to have to answer that question again.
You can find
I really am. And then they'll turn around and say, well, but just tell me why I didn't get to see it until now. And because I didn't want you to.
Yes, we kept it from you.
Yeah.
Right.
On purpose.
Well, that's why we've created this podcast, to create more awareness, bring moonlighting to the 21st century. We've got Scott Ryan's book. We've got our podcast. I don't know if you know much about our podcast, but we go episode by episode. We watch an episode and then we discuss it in our episode. And also we're doing an accumulation of moonlighting stats, Jay. We're counting the door slams. We're counting her feet out of the elevator. We're counting Agnes's rhymes, and we're counting the outfit changes. So far we've only recorded up to Sleep Talking Guy, and so far we've got 80 door slams. I thought that would make him laugh.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you had a microphone outside of their trailers, you'd have heard a lot more, I'll tell you.
Yeah, you'd be triple that probably.
Yeah.
That's great.
If there are questions that come up from the things I've said, you can call me anytime, and I'm happy to discuss it. I'm really pleased that you have this podcast, and you guys sound perfect for it. You have an attitude that I would hope our whole audience would have about the show, and you seem to know when it's funny, and you seem to know when it wasn't supposed to be funny. So you get it. You get the show, and that makes me very happy. And we can all watch it together next year. That would be great.
Yeah, it would be.
Absolutely. Yes, we look forward to that. Well, thank you so much, Jay. Yeah, I really appreciate those words, and we're happy to be here, happy to talk to you. It's great, and we just love the show, and thank you so much for all your hard work on it over those years.
It's been so wonderful talking to you today, Jay. Thank you so much for spending some time with us. We had such a good time.
Oh, well, you thank you for saying that, and thank you for your show, and thank you for liking our show and enough to do your show. And feel free to call me with any questions or any way I can help, okay?
Will do, Jay. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Jay.
Bye now. Bye-bye.
Well, until next time,
I'm Grace.
And I'm Shauna. Thank you for listening to
Moonlighting the podcast.
This is a message to you, Jay. It's from Mandy, the Moonie from Melbourne. We've never met, and thinking about that, that's very lucky for you, because I would have just fangirled you, talked your ear off, asked so many questions. Yeah, so you're very lucky that we didn't meet. But I just wanted to let you know, I have spent an unreasonable amount of my life, like the last 40 years, enjoying the chaos, the brilliance, and the magic that you help bring to the bestest show ever, Moonlighting. Thank you for your creativity and for giving the world a show that refuses to leave my brain ever. And I'm saying that in the best possible way. I love that Moonlighting is just stuck in my brain. For 4 decades, your work has made me laugh, think, and occasionally yell at the TV in anger, but I won't go into those moments. But you made a TV show absolutely something unforgettable, and that in itself is such a rare gift, and I can't thank you enough for that. I wish you peace, and I'm sending heartfelt condolences to your family and all your loved ones at this really difficult time. Thank you so much for the Moonlighting memories. Bye, Jay.
Hey guys, Danielle here. So I was really sad to see the passing of Jay Daniel. As a longtime Moonie, I've always appreciated, like when I was doing deep dive into like research about the show or something, that he always kept like copious notes of like the commentaries he did on the DVDs and stuff. He knew dates and times and like had anecdotes to match with like the scenes he was talking about. And it was cool. They were always stories that were relevant, like even to both like the casual viewer, but also like diehard Moonies like myself and a lot of you guys. So I'm sad, and because I always felt like he was like the keeper of the flame. But I also, he's done a lot of work, and he's responsible for a lot of things. And what's funny is that after Moonlighting, he went on to do Roseanne, and I loved Roseanne. It's one of my go-to comfort shows when I'm not watching Moonlighting. I have it on in the background. So, just a huge body of work, and work I love, and he's gonna be missed. And thanks for all the good stuff. R.I.P. Jay.
Hey everyone, I am Scott Ryan. I am the author of Moonlighting, an oral history, and I'm sure on this show everyone's going to be talking about that Moonlighting wouldn't have existed without Jay Daniels. This book wouldn't exist without Jay Daniels. There was no one that I interviewed more for the book. And he the knowledge that he had was just incredible. I would be working on something and I'd be trying to piece together, like, when did they film The Honeymooners? How could Sybil not be showing that she's pregnant? And yet it was in September. So I'd call Jay, when did you film The Honeymooners? He'd say, give me a second. And they'd be like, May 15th. We were on set 14 for 8 hours, and then we're back on May 17th for a reshoot. The guy was incredible. I mean, the knowledge that he had and willingness to share it. I don't know how many phone calls we had over the year I worked on the book, but I looked forward to every one of them. When I started the book, I, of course, needed Glenn's approval, and I got that. And the first person I asked Glenn for was Jay Daniel. And he said, I don't have his contact. I've lost contact with him. I couldn't find him anywhere online. Jay has no online presence. I'm so jealous of that. And then I got his assistant, Melissa, and interviewed her. And she said, I have Jay's contact. And I was like, great, give me his email. And she was like, no, I have his home phone number. Just call him. So I had to cold call Jay Daniel. Just pick up the phone and call. you know, like Moonlighting was still on air. Like, that's not how we behave. And it was so scary. And he answered and said, "Yep, I want to do this. We'll talk as much as you want." And we really did. We at least talked once a week. And then even after that, we would talk every couple of months. The last time I talked to him was actually because of this podcast. When we did the 40th anniversary, I sent him the skit that Deborah Frank and I wrote together about the anniversary, and he loved that. We talked about Hulu, Moonlighting coming back to Hulu. He was very excited that that finally happened. I don't know. When you interview someone, normally you just have this one moment and it's over. But Jay and I really became friends. Like, it was crazy. And he was such a great guy. So I was going to read a quote from Jay. And when I went through, they were all good. I couldn't do it. And I was like, I don't want to bring him down to just one thing he said, because it wasn't just one thing. It was everything that he did. He gave his heart and soul to that show. Without a doubt, Glenn was the brains. Jay was the heart. I will miss my friend. Thank you for doing this tribute to him. He deserves everything in the world. And I wish his family the best.
Oh,
Oh,
that was
so
great.
sweet. Yeah.
Yeah, so great to hear his words again, and he's just his sense of humor.
Yeah.
He's just the funniest guy. He's just the most affable, like funniest person, you know. Saw humor, yeah, just even a little evil humor in there, you know. He just like,
Yeah.
yeah, he had.
It's funny. I thought I had the crazy cackle, but I'm really happy I made him laugh with the door slams and everything, because his cackle is just so good. He's got such a great laugh, you know. It was so good.
Yes, 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 I know.
Yeah, so thank you, Scott,
Yeah.
for contributing to that and making that video.
Yep, and
And
Danielle and all
yeah,
the and all the
Danielle,
Moonies
yes,
with their
and
work.
Mandy for the audio. Everybody who forwarded tribute, which Shauna is included in the video, which was great.
Yeah. Yes, thank you everybody for contributing those.
Lovely. Really
Yeah, it
nice.
all
And
came
thank you,
together
Ron, for
nicely.
coming on. That was
That
it
was
was
great.
great to have Ron for a little while. Yeah. So
Yeah.
rest in peace, Jay. You know, it's a sad
Yes.
thing, but you know, he's left a great legacy. He's left a great body of work, and thank God for his calmness in the face of craziness, you know. So
Yes. Thank God for his steady way and that he could
yeah.
keep the chaos of Moonlighting moving in the right direction and helping us
Getting
get
through.
everything that we got because we love it. Yeah, we love it. And that's why we still talk about it today. So his legacy will live on. He's done great work. He's a great person, lovely family. We've heard from some of his family. Yes, we hope this makes its way to his wife Vicky. Our thoughts are with you, Vicky. He will absolutely be missed, and he is loved, and he will be remembered. We want you to know that.
And
Yeah.
thank you
Any
to his
other?
niece for
Yep.
contributing
His
that
niece
photo and
and
her
his
comment.
cousin. Yeah,
And
his
his cousin,
cousin.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything else from the chat, guys, before we sign off? I think this. Yeah. I hope you liked this tribute to Jay. And if anyone else sends anything, because it was short notice to the rest of the cast and crew, if anyone else sends anything, we'll put that online as well.
Yep. Yep.
All right.
Yeah,
I
we've
think
got
that's
people
it,
from
Grace.
the UK. Yep, everybody.
All finished.
Yeah. So thank you everybody for joining us, our tribute to Jay and celebrating his life. And as you can see, he left us with a lot of things that we can view. So thank you, Jay Daniel, for that. And our condolences, as we said, our sincere condolences go out to him, to all his family and friends. Yeah.
Yes. And Robert, contact us. Let's hear more about that. Your role in moonlighting and finding those locations. I mean, Ron Osborne is waiting. The cast and crew is waiting.
Everybody's waiting.
Waiting for more stories. We need those stories. So yes, please contact us.
Yeah.
Thank you. Lori says that. Thank you for putting this together. You're welcome. And thanks for coming. Marigold, that was brilliant. Lovely tribute. Thank you so much. We are glad we could do it. It was all very last minute. We thought we were going to set this as a YouTube premiere and let this play, but yeah, everything was just taking too long to upload and everything. And so Grace and I, just about an hour before we got online, we have to do it. We got to do it live. We got to do it live. You know, satellite it wet to New York or whatever they used to do in moonlighting.
Yeah, and then, it was very, very moonlighting. Just put it that way.
It was. And of course, everything came together perfectly. And right at that moment, you know, Ron was trying to send a video himself. That didn't work. And I said, well, how about a Zoom link? And he said, I'm in. And he jumped on. And it was just like, it's so funny.
I think Jay was telling us from up above, no, you're not doing it that way. I think we need to do it this way.
He was producing all of this from, he was producing all of this.
That's what he was doing.
Yeah. And of course, with his steady hand, it came together perfectly. So Laurel says, R.I.P. Jay. Yes, absolutely. R.I.P. Jay. Yeah. And I'm just so happy that we got to talk to him when we did on the podcast. I love that interview. I mean, we just, every time we talk, even just talking to Ron, we couldn't help ourselves, right? We just start asking questions about the show, and we just always have to know more. When they're like right there readily available to us, we're like, what about this? What about that? Yeah, we just have to know more. So
strike while the iron's hot. Take that opportunity. And we're very grateful that we got to speak to him. It was a little bit difficult hearing a lot of, sorry, I do apologize for the crackle, but he was on his mobile phone because I don't think he's that.
Jay was.
Sorry, Jay. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Jay on the interview.
On the Jay interview. So he's not that tech savvy. So he was talking on his phone. So I had to do a lot of editing, you know, fixing some editing parts and his words and so forth. But we're so grateful that we got to speak to him, and it was great. And he was really appreciative and that we loved the show, and it was wonderful. And I just love his laugh.
Love his laugh, and love that he said you made his day. Talking about the anxiety and the pilot on the Eastern Building.
I still get anxiety from that scene. I can't watch it.
I know. Yeah, love hearing about him scouting those locations, and just hanging on every word. You know, even like listening to it again.
Because I hadn't heard it for a while.
Yep, me either. I hadn't heard it in a while, but it was great to hear his voice. So yes, I'm glad we did this.
And Ron had some nice thoughts.
Yeah, Ron was great. I mean, I could talk to Ron for another hour or more. So, he's probably like he had to go. We probably would have kept him another hour if he was still here. Guys, like this video, share this video. If any of Jay's family is watching, please share it with his family, his wife. Send our love and condolences and our thoughts and everything. Yes, and let us know we are keeping his work alive.
Yeah, always. And thank you, Shauna, my beautiful co-host, for putting that video together. It was really good. I know it's very time consuming, and we were trying to scramble getting some more comments in to make sure that we got everybody's. So if you apologize if we've missed anybody, but I don't think we have. So that was great. Thanks for doing that. My video queen.
You're welcome. Yes, it was a little hairy, a little stressful there. I'm glad I changed out some photos yesterday that were better quality, and I'm glad I did, because that would have been embarrassing if some of those quality photos, we are talking 40 plus years ago now, guys, but some of the quality of those photos are still so good, And how great is it that we found that video, that includes Jay, with Sybil and Bruce getting those awards. Jay is in the video, so that's so great that we've got some video of Jay, because I couldn't find any pictures of Jay on set. So
Yeah,
maybe
there's
we can
not
get,
many photos of Jay.
Yeah.
I'm sure
Maybe
some cast and crew probably have photos of him.
yeah,
But
maybe
there's
Cheryl
not
Main
much
will
online.
send some. Yeah, I think Cheryl Main was looking for some photos, so maybe she'll find some and send some
Yep.
over, and we can share
Yep.
those. We'll share those on our Facebook and Instagram and everything. So
Yep.
anyway, this was
Anyway.
great. R.I.P. Jay. We're celebrating your life.
Yeah.
Yep.
All
Great
right.
work.
Well, thank you very
and
much, everybody, for joining us.
Yeah,
If
thanks
you've
for
missed
everyone for
this, you
tuning
can
in.
watch it at your leisure from now on. It'll be uploaded, so it'll be there already.
Yep, it will be there.
All
Yeah.
right. Thanks,
All right,
everyone.
we'll see you.
Bye,
See you at the
Moonies.
next live or podcast.